Many years ago, near the first anniversary of my husband's death, my cousin and her husband swooped me off to France to lift my spirit and ease the grief. We found ourselves in the Anglican church in Nice on the first Sunday of Advent, at the beginning of the Gospel of Mark. When the time came for the sermon, the priest stepped into the pulpit and began to share the gift of the Gospel of Mark. I remember thinking as he spoke, Mark's Gospel is like a rich piece of dark Belgian chocolate. A little bite contains so much flavor, embraces both the bitter and the sweetness of the experience. It requires being savored to begin to reveal the depth, complexity, and richness held within. It has the potential to provide an exquisite experience if we slow down and enjoy. The Gospel of Mark contains a brevity of words that allow the imagination and spirit to lead us into deeper understandings. The story moves pretty quickly. It begins by drawing the listener in with the proclamation, "This is the good news of Jesus Christ, the Son of God." The storyteller of this gospel quickly draws his audience, including us, into who Jesus is and the story of his ministry as he weaves the bitter and the sweet, the richness and complexity through brief verbiage, inviting us to turn on our inner movie screen and let the gospel play out in our imagination. The story today has Jesus in Capernaum, having just called Simon and Andrew from mending their nets and John and James from their boat and father to follow him. It is the Sabbath, and he enters the synagogue and begins teaching. There is a quality to his teaching that far exceeds the scribes. He teaches with authority. The authority of God made manifest in Jesus. He teaches what he is. And the people are astonished. They wonder as he teaches with an authority they have never experienced before, and they sense the truth rippling throughout the synagogue, stirring their souls and disturbing the unclean spirits dwelling within. Agitated, an unclean spirit challenges Jesus, saying, "What do you want of us, Jesus of Nazareth? Have you come to destroy us?" And then, naming the truth of who Jesus is, the Holy One of God, the unclean spirit attempts to gain power over Jesus. Then and now, knowing someone's name gives you power over the person, for good or evil. The response comes from a place of stillness, of clarity. Jesus speaks from a power centered deep within that comes from God. Be silent and come out of him. And the unclean spirit, having no choice, makes quite a show of coming out of the man. The power exuded by Jesus leaves the people questioning and amazed at his teaching and authority. So here we are. Jesus teaches and performs an exorcism. If we are to follow him, are we called to do the same? Yes. And that is unnerving, especially to our 21st century minds. Teaching we can probably wrap our heads around, but exorcism, we would probably say emphatically, that is beyond our pay grade. It makes us uncomfortable. Jesus didn't come to make humankind comfortable. He came as an uncomfortable truth that God's love is greater, all-encompassing and fearless, from whom No one is exempt. Not one of us. Jesus draws us into the realm of God through himself and the Holy Spirit. We are given power to do as he did. If we believe, have faith, and get beyond ourselves. It is not easy. We each have spirits within that inhibit our living fully for God. It could be a spirit of grief or fear, love of money or security, pride, doubt, greed. There are too many to name. Yet when we come together here in God's house as a community, I dare say we teach, heal, and even exorcise the unclean spirits through our words to one another, through our actions, and how we live and move in the community and in the world. It can be very subtle, often quiet or active, joyful or even boisterous at times, in how we each live into being Jesus' disciples, bringing God's love into the world. Part of what so mystified people and continues to do so is that Jesus lived who he was, exuding the quiet power of God, never seeking power or position in the world. He lived humbly, yet with great power, and changed the world, ultimately turning the world order upside down. He paid the price for that. We will soon live into Lent, Holy Week, and Easter, a weaving of the bitter and the sweet, and it's coming so fast this year. Our world could use some turning, some healing, some love, and hearing the story of Jesus, the story of God made flesh, who walked this earth. I invite you to take time to sit, read, and savor the Gospel of Mark. Watch the internal movie in your imagination and notice what arises or is moved within you. Savor the richness of bitter and sweet. We are all called. Are we up to the calling?